In this video, I'm going to cover a bunch of tips and tricks you should know. There's a good chance you've missed them, even if you're a veteran player, so don't sleep on this video. I'm sure there'll be at least one thing you've likely missed out on. So let's go to our weapons. For example, this is something I wasn't aware of myself until I was streaming, and my chat so graciously let me know. If we go to our skills, let's say for a weapon like Shadow Scythe, taking a look at the icon here, you notice there is a down arrow with a key underneath. This represents that the key to cast a skill can be held down, and once you do hold it down, it'll cause additional effects to be applied. I'll show an example of this in just a second here, and don't forget about the Creator Support Program. If you go ahead and support us on Marvel's Creator Program, it gives me the chance to give out rewards to you, and also with their monetization system, I'll be able to do a bunch of giveaways, so do check that out. I believe we're ranked number 3 when it comes to supporters, so a huge thanks to everyone who's done it so far. If we keep up the numbers, I'm sure Netmarble will give us some coupon codes to give out to all the viewers, so do check that out. You get some free rewards as well. It is much appreciated. I'll put the link for this in the comment section below. Let's hop into an instance dungeon. Let's go to Igris. So watch as I first press the skill. I'm going to use Shadow Scythe skill by just pressing the button once. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Now wait for the cooldown to go off, and I'll show you what happens when you hold the skill. It is a major difference. So the skill is off cooldown, and watch this. I'm going to hold it down and not let go until it fully resolves. So watch this. Do you see that effect? It was absolutely insane. It'll do much more damage. The same goes for our skills. We have our amazing Almighty Break skill. If you just press it once, it doesn't charge up and it uses the effect right away. But watch in a second as I hold down the skill, it'll be a completely different effect. So there it is off cooldown. I'm going to hold my E key as it indicates, and watch this. It's charging up to 300%, and boom, it causes a different effect, more damage. Basically, you should really take note of any skills that do have that icon, otherwise you'll be missing out on a lot of potential damage. Now on the topic of instance dungeons and encore missions, let me show you something very interesting. So taking a look at an encore mission, let's go to a tier 10 I've recently completed. So we have the Grey Arachnid, and we've gotten all 3 battle missions for them. You can see the screen here has changed from what it is normally. Normally it just puts the missions here, but once you have all of them complete, you get a 50% increase to your damage, and also a 50% reduction in the damage you take. Basically, this gives you a very nice buff for grinding out these encore missions and instance dungeons. A lot of people have missed this. They might not finish all 3 missions, meaning they'll be losing out on this buff, making grinding these out take much longer. And also when it comes to tier 10, you can see we only get epics and legendaries. The same applies to tier 9, but if you look at tier 8 missions, they still provide rare artifacts. Yeah, you see it there. So that is the major difference. Once you reach 9 and 10, they'll only provide epic and up, and also the number of potential artifacts goes up from 2 to 3. So a big difference, something you should take note of. And also be sure to always look at the recommended element. You'll be dealing 150% damage instead of 100 or even 50 in the case you use an element the boss is strong against. So always take a note of these. It's the difference between a win and a loss, so always make sure you check these out. Now speaking of winning and losing, one thing I do sleep on myself is this right here, the rankings mode. That does happen weekly. Basically, depending on the number of battle missions you have, you get more and more essence stones weekly, so you do want to try to get in as many as you can, otherwise you will be missing out on a bunch of essence stones. We know how rare they are to get, so try to grind these out, otherwise you'll be shorted essence stones every week. Now speaking of being shorted, make sure you always take note of the rate of banner you're doing. There will usually be 2. If you do the older rate of banners, you'll miss out on all the events supporting the current banner. So as you can see, we have 2. We have Silvermane Yunhu, and we also have Cha here. The events all support Cha. The ones for Silvermane have ended, so if you summon for him, you won't get the full value out of your tickets. So always take note. If you ever want to summon for a banner, try doing it early. That way you can summon towards dupes, and you don't miss out on the events that they have available for the hunter, because if we do quickly check, you can see we get a bunch of the crafting material for a weapon on top of the weapon itself, and the same goes for this event here. We get the weapon outright, so you should always be summoning for the hunter that is the events going on for them, otherwise the value per ticket does go down. And on the note of value, let's jump to the gates, because gate keys are so valuable. The main thing you want to know with your keys is that there is a big difference between B gates and under and A ranks and up. A lot of people do comment on the reputation difference. This is so minuscule, I don't don't know why anyone cares about this. The reputation bonus between a B rank and an A rank is 1 to 2, depending if you sweep or do the gate manually. If you totally forgot about missions, if we look at our weekly ones, you can see the rewards provide 1,400 reputation, 1,400 again. We have another 1,400 there. So I don't know why reputation for gates matters. Just completely ignore that. The reason why you want to do gates at the higher ranking is because they provide essence stones when you do mine them. So let's go to mining. You can see we have a bunch of S rank gates and A ranks as well. And if we complete the mining, you can see we get a bunch of essence stones. Obviously 22 isn't that much, but as you do more gates, it does accumulate. The difference is listed here as well. The reward details show that we get an essence stone, but with B rank gates, the mining reward is missing that. So always try to go for A and S rank gates. Now on the note of reputation, if we take a look at the reputation here, you can see as your level goes up, you unlock more and more keys, that being the amount you can hold daily. So we start out at 4, I believe, and now we're all the way up to 6. The same goes for our gate keys. We are now up to 15. I get asked this question quite a lot. The difference comes from reputation, so always try to get your missions in, your weekly and daily ones, otherwise you'll miss out on any levels, meaning you miss out on keys, which means you miss out on artifacts, which is a big shame. And let's do another transition. As we just mentioned artifacts, a quick tip I have is if you have an artifact you want to level up, but you don't know if you plan on keeping it, try to only get it to level 10, because it does cost gold to unequip any artifact that's over level 10. So level 11, 12 and up, it'll cost gold to unequip off your hunter. Let me try if I can do it here. I'm going to go to Choi, go to one of his artifacts, go to change, and try to equip this one. You can see it costs 5,000 gold. That's honestly a lot. So try to keep your artifacts at 10 until you know for sure you have an artifact you want to keep. And speaking of artifacts, an easy way to filter between the ones you want is through the filter option, of course. Let's say I want to go ahead and look for artifacts with, let's say, attack percentage. I click this, press apply, and it'll show me every single artifact that has that stat. So a very useful tip if you want to easily look through your artifacts. Otherwise, it can take ages and ages to find the ones you want. And also with your artifacts, do not hesitate to press this button here. That does let you salvage your artifacts for gold. I recommend using the select all button here. You will definitely not need to keep your commons or rares. Epics may be useful, so I do recommend at least keeping them and manually reviewing them yourselves before you do salvage them. Otherwise, you can miss out on a juicy artifact. Epics do get good stats. They do not need to be legendary all the time for it to be a working artifact. So let's go ahead and salvage our commons and rares. We select all, and you see with the 100 selected, we get 100k gold. So this will help any deficits you have, since we know for a fact gold is so hard to get. If you are free to play, you are most definitely struggling out with gold. So this is a must-use system. It saves so much time. Select all, sell the artifacts, 100k gold. Keep doing it until you have no more artifacts to salvage. It's always good to clean them up. Commons obviously give a bit less gold, but it's not that much of a difference, only 100 less. And honestly, salvaging them did provide me a pretty nice amount of gold. We probably got over 5 to 600k from just salvaging all those artifacts. So you can see it's a very nice way to get some additional gold coming in. Now on the topic of salvaging, when it comes to weapons, it's always advised to never salvage any SR weapons. You can salvage them once they reach A10, otherwise do not do it. However, when it comes to rares, feel free to salvage as many as you want. You can get a rare to A10. It will provide some precision and also some bonus based stats. This is something you should definitely know, that having an A10 rare could be better than having an SR weapon on a hunter. You can see we get a very decent amount of precision. 2,000 is a lot. We also get this buff here for getting a weapon to A10, increasing the attack, defense, and HP by 10%, which is honestly a lot. This makes A10 rares generally always better than SR weapons. So if you haven't done this already, I do highly recommend it. It'll be a nice buff for your hunters. But other than that, you should go ahead and salvage them. You can just do the select all option I mentioned earlier. And the reason why you want to do this and not keep them is because of all these materials we get 300 weapon enhancements and also 3,000 of these materials that you use in the exchange shop. Let's go to the shop so I can show you exactly what you should buy. So as we jump into the exchange shop, we go to this tab here, the weapon materials exchange. You can see there's some awesome buys here. We have exclusive weapon designs and also these crystal chests. We have precision designs as well, so a lot of things you can purchase. So don't forget to salvage your rares. And for your celebration coins, try not to waste them as they are quite hard to get. You could get draw tickets, but some of these materials are honestly very good. good. Skill scrolls aren't too bad, but the main powerhouse is the mana power extracts. I don't even have one of these just yet. That's how rare they are, so saving up your points could be vital for getting these unlocked. They're used to level up skills, and so far we haven't picked up a single one, showing you just how valuable saving these resources can be and how wasting them can lead to problems. And just a very quick tip for anyone who's pay to win, always look at the bonus tab here. For $2 every day for 5 days, you could get GWoo, and $2 for 15 days straight, you can get Plum and GWoo, so this is something to always look at. The rewards here are so good, it gives you a guaranteed SSR, there's no bait here, so if you are a light spender, this could be a very good option. And also, don't forget about this button here, the Hunter Preview. If you press it, you can go ahead and try out some hunters, getting some decent rewards. They obviously aren't too crazy, but all you need to do is hop in, and you get some free rewards coming in. And one tip I do have is that there's no fix for the loading icon here. We do have to sit through it, so sorry about that. I know it is painful, but we just have to suffer through it. And actually, one thing you should remember is if you see a hunter with this mark here, the exclamation mark, you can go ahead and talk to them, and once you do, you get 5 essence stones. I know it isn't too much, but you can do this up to 10 times a day. If you do it 10 times a day for a month, you get up to 1,500 essence stones. That's close to a multi-summon, so we can't say it's really that bad. And don't forget the power destruction does reset every single day, so don't worry if you can't get a good run in. It doesn't really affect you. You can just try again the following day. And trying again applies to every single mission in this game. You can try out any battle as many times as you want, which is fantastic for gates. Oftentimes you'll hop into a mission and just get completely decimated. You don't lose out on your keys, so always go ahead and try out the missions and see if you can do them. And don't forget to get a proper set allocation in. I have a video on stats you should definitely look at, otherwise you can be losing out on a bunch of damage. And speaking of losing out, if you haven't rerolled just yet, I do recommend rerolling your account. Starting out with an SSR is vital. You get more value with your summons, because starting without an SSR means you wasted up to 80 draw tickets compared to someone who did reroll and got an SSR on their first summon. The 80 tickets is very hard to get, and the reason why I say 80 is because of the pity timer. The maximum number of summons you can go until you get an SSR is 80, so getting one early is very nice, especially for the times you max out your pity summons, which is very painful to say the least. And real quick, when it comes to hunters, make sure you don't overspend on leveling them up. Gold is very hard to find, so you don't want to waste too much gold on hunters you don't plan on using. You can see here, if I plan on leveling up a hunter all the way to the max level I can, it'll cost over 500,000 gold, so do watch out for this. Only level the hunters you plan on using. That is everything I had for you today. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment if you have any tips yourself, and also be sure to subscribe if you want more content like this. This was Zaf signing out.